Some disappearances are loud, violent ruptures, abandoned cars, frantic calls, chaos that demands attention. These scenes scream of struggle, of a life unwillingly interrupted, and the world knows to search for a victim and a predator. But there's another kind of vanishing, quiet, methodical, and chillingly neat. A packed bag, a clean apartment, a note suggesting a voluntary journey. These disappearances lull us into complacency, their order masking a deeper deception. Sometimes the tidiness is a disguise, a carefully constructed facade to delay discovery and obscure the truth. This is the story of Lena, a woman who did everything right, yet vanished without a trace. Her case began not with chaos, but with a whisper, a hiking permit, meant to protect, that only deepened the mystery. The permit was a lie, official, stamped, and perfectly crafted to make Lena invisible. Sometimes, the most terrifying disappearances leave behind not blood but a clean paper trail. They exploit our trust in systems, turning bureaucracy into a weapon of concealment. Lena's story is a stark reminder. The most dangerous predator may be the one who knows how to use the system itself. In her case, the very tools designed to protect became instruments of deception. The absence of chaos was not a sign of peace, but the first clue that something was terribly wrong. This is how Lena vanished, into the order she trusted most. Lena was the definition of caution. 34, a cartographer, her life as organized as her maps. Friends described her as meticulous, her apartment a model of order, her plans detailed to the minute. She was the friend you called for help with anything complicated. Her love for hiking was no exception. Every trip was planned, every risk anticipated. She carried a satellite phone, GPS, and a first aid kit that could rival a paramedic's. Before any hike, she sent her itinerary to her sister and a friend, including routes, return times, and backup plans. For Lena, preparation was instinct. That's why her disappearance was so jarring. When she failed to return from a weekend hike in the Cascades, her loved ones believed in her resourcefulness. Maybe her phone died, maybe she was delayed. Surely Lena had a plan, but the first crack appeared. No email, no itinerary, no message. Lena, the planner, had broken her own rule. The silence was more alarming than any cry for help. It was a void where certainty should have been. In that void, fear took root. Lena, always prepared, had simply vanished. The search began with urgency. Lena's silence was out of character. Rangers checked the North Ridge Loop permit logs, expecting to find her name. It wasn't there. Confusion spread. Lena never changed plans without telling someone. Rangers expanded the search to nearby trails. Still nothing. Then, a junior ranger noticed an odd permit. A solo female hiker, same route, same dates Lena had mentioned, but under the name Catherine Morris. The details were sparse. A P.O. box, a disconnected phone. It was a ghost on paper. The permit became the only lead. Search teams focused on Catherine Morris, hoping she was Lena. But why would Lena, so meticulous, use a false name? The planner had become an enigma. The permit was a riddle, not a solution. The search narrowed, but the questions multiplied. Who was Catherine Morris, and what had happened to Lena? Investigators dug into the Catherine Morris permit, and every detail deepened the mystery. It was filed in person, not online. Unusual, but possible. The timing was impossible. Filed on a Tuesday morning when Lena was confirmed at work in a mandatory meeting. She couldn't be in two places at once. No one in her circle filed it for her, and the address and phone were dead ends. The permit was a deliberate false identity, not a casual alias. Someone had created a ghost, Catherine Morris, designed to exist only on paper. The planning was meticulous, echoing Lena's own habits, but twisted for concealment. Was Lena hiding, or was someone else using her skills against her? The investigation shifted. It wasn't just about where Lena was, but who had orchestrated this phantom hiker. The paradox of the timeline remained unsolved. The permit was a dead end, but also the only clue. The search for Lena became a search for a ghost. The truth was buried in bureaucracy. Investigators questioned Ranger Evans, who processed the permit. He remembered the woman, nervous, face hidden by a hat and sunglasses, hands trembling. Her clothes were baggy, her voice low, her demeanor a performance meant to be forgotten. Shown Lena's photo, Evans hesitated. Confident Lena didn't match the anxious woman, but there was a resemblance. If it was Lena, she was in disguise, hiding her identity from the very system meant to protect her. The timeline still didn't fit. Lena was at work. Yet the ranger's memory suggested otherwise. Could she have slipped away, filed the permit, and returned unnoticed? The paradox deepened. The woman in the station was a ghost, possibly Lena, possibly not. The only certainty, someone wanted to disappear. The system had been fooled. With the permit as their only lead, search teams scoured the Northridge Loop. Drones scanned the forest, but found nothing. The search was grueling, hope fading with each day. Then a volunteer found boot prints off the main trail, Lena's size and brand. The tracks veered into rugged, unmaintained wilderness, away from the official route. The permit had sent searchers in the wrong direction. The real trail was hidden, the paperwork a deliberate diversion. Lena, or someone in her boots, had left the path no one was meant to find. The search shifted, but the trail was already cold. The permit was not a safety measure, it was a smoke screen. The truth was, somewhere off the map, the system had been used to mislead. Forensic experts analyzed the permit's handwriting, comparing it to Lena's known samples. The result? The writing was Lena's, but deliberately disguised. She had altered her own script, trying to mask her identity. The impossible timeline now had a bizarre explanation. Lena had orchestrated her own vanishing act. She'd created a fake person, faked the handwriting, and built layers of deception. The permit was a self-portrait of someone desperate to disappear. Why would Lena, so defined by order, go to such lengths to erase herself? The evidence pointed to her as the architect of her own disappearance, at least on paper. The question shifted from who to why. Lena had become her own ghost. The system had been manipulated from within. The mystery deepened. Lena's story exposes a flaw in our faith in paperwork and official records. Permits, licenses, registrations, they're meant to anchor us, to protect us. But what happens when someone uses the system to disappear? For some, vanishing from the record is survival. For others, it's a weapon. The system's rigidity can trap or erase depending on who wields it. A false paper trail can create a narrative that law enforcement believes. The Catherine Morris permit was a perfect example. Official, stamped, and utterly misleading. The system accepted the fiction, and Lena vanished behind it. Our trust in paperwork can make us complicit in disappearance. The real danger is hidden in the bureaucracy we trust most. Lena's erasure was made possible by the very tools meant to protect her. Lena's disappearance remains unsolved. The boot prints vanished in the wilderness. No body, no gear, no answers. All that's left is the haunting echo of the Catherine Morris permit. Was Lena escaping a threat, or was someone else using her skills to erase her? The system, designed for safety, became an accomplice in her vanishing. A form filed in person, a name on a list, accepted as truth, even if both are fiction. The paper trail led searchers away from the truth. Lena's story is a cautionary tale. Our systems are only as strong as our willingness to look past the paperwork. We must question the record, challenge the narrative, and never let a stamped form have the final say. When a woman vanishes, the absence of chaos is often the most terrifying clue. It signals not peace, but a disappearance by design. The system itself may have helped draw the plans. Lena's story warns us, trust the person, not just the paper.